Hello and welcome to the John Ark Show. Today's show is called How Ben Mallah Made $300 million in Real Estate. The real estate industry makes more millionaires than any other industry in the world. Today we're going to tell you about Ben Mallah, a Florida resident who made so much money in this industry that it is staggering by comparison to both his peers and other industries. And we're going to show you how you can replicate some of his success. Before we begin, I want to encourage you to subscribe, like, follow, and comment on our show. Also, I'd like to tell you that our show sponsor is HollywoodIsCalling.com. It is a company which allows you to purchase live calls from your favorite celebrities. So whether you want to purchase a call for yourself or as a gift for somebody you know, HollywoodIsCalling.com is the way to go. The real estate industry is hyper competitive and there's tremendous adversity to overcome. Even getting your real estate license and finding your first client is extremely challenging. Ben Mallah was able to achieve this extraordinary success by doing some things that a lot of other people weren't willing or able to do. He says when he was born in the slums of New York, he grew up in a neighborhood surrounded by criminals. And one of the things we're seeing with hyper successful individuals is early on in life, they're faced with confronting and overcoming tremendous challenges. He got into real estate when he got out of the army, and he worked for a man that went on to become his mentor. Ben says he started out by buying crack houses for $20,000 or $30,000 and then renovating them. He would go into neighborhoods that nobody else even wanted to go in. Once he renovated them, he would refinance them, take the money out, and use that capital to purchase more real estate. To keep his renovation costs down, he would often buy used carpeting, used equipment, and install that in the new homes and do it in a way that was presentable but yet kept his costs low. When the market crashed in 2008, he packaged all of his real estate and sold it off so that he could raise the capital to purchase Florida real estate that had crashed and was now selling at prices that were so attractive that he just had to invest. He says that one of his biggest challenges has always been purchasing real estate remotely. He likes to buy locally or in the state of Florida, but he is very reluctant to buy out of state because of the increased costs of managing property remotely. He feels that by acquiring property locally, he and his family-owned company, they can manage it and keep costs down in a way that no management company could. He said, management companies, they don't always do what you want them to do, or they look for ways to hit you with additional management fees. So by keeping a tight control on things, he's able to avoid a lot of those pitfalls. Ben spends a lot of his time looking for deals. He says if you want to succeed, you have to put in countless hours looking for a deal. Some deals will take 2 months, some deals will take a year to find. But the relentlessness of his search is what he attributes a lot of his success to. His priority is always to look for properties that he can fix up and add value to. He also loves to go out and buy student housing. The great thing about student housing is that he can go out and purchase an apartment that would cost $1,000 to rent. Let's say it's a 4-bedroom apartment. And rather than charge $1,000 for the entire apartment, what he'll do is he will go out and rent out each of the 4 bedrooms for $500 each, and these are the prices that he would have received back when he was doing this, and he would rent each of the apartments out for $500 each, and he'll make $2,000 a month rather than the $1,000 a month if he had just rented out the entire apartment to one individual. He says another thing that's really important when dealing with student housing is you have to have the parents come in and co-sign on the leases, stating that they're going to guarantee everything, because if the student drops out or has some kind of economic hardship, you have to be able to call on to the parents to fill that financial gap. He says getting parental guarantees on the lease is really important because what that does is it gives them a financial backstop. When the students get drunk and they destroy an apartment or some of their guests destroy the apartment, those costs can get really prohibitive. So that's when he calls the parents and it's up to them to make good on the damage. Another thing that Ben loves is senior citizen housing. He loves it for a couple of reasons. One, seniors don't relocate that often. They tend to be stable, they like to stay in place. And the other thing is they don't get drunk and smash up the place the way students and other people do. Another thing that he does, he's very careful about, is when he purchases places that he wants to renovate, he makes certain that the renovations are cosmetic and not structural. He'll paint a place, replace doors and carpeting, things like that. But he does not want to do foundation work. He doesn't want to do roofing. He doesn't want to do anything structural that will break the budget. Keeping those acquisition costs minimal is what allows him to turn a profit. The nice thing about cosmetic renovations is that it's quick, it's easy, and it's cheap. Things like carpets and windows and doors and lighting, that can all be done very, very quickly and inexpensively. And it prevents them from being bogged down in a rental that takes months to work on a foundation or something else. Interestingly enough, he says that he's never built a building. What he does is he rebuilds them once they're destroyed or damaged, and he brings value to them. He says the financial reward is nice, but what really makes him feel good is restoring a property and then turning it over to a family that will be able to live there, because that gives him a tremendous sense of accomplishment. He says that he was able to succeed in real estate when a lot of other people weren't, because he literally lives and breathes it every day. That's his greatest passion. And he says that if he was just doing it as a part-time gig, he never would have achieved the levels of success that he currently has. He says that in order to achieve significant success, you have to be willing to cross the line. You have to go into neighborhoods that nobody else wants to buy in. You have to be able to negotiate prices that most people won't agree to. You have to be really persistent, really tenacious, and do a lot of 18-hour days. He says the long work days demonstrate results that part-time effort will never yield. Ben says that there were countless times where he stayed up all night painting an apartment because he had an inspection the following day, and he couldn't afford to have painters come in and do it. One of the things that he's really proud of is the fact that he believes that growing up in a tough neighborhood and then going into the army is what convinced him that he could achieve anything. One of his biggest mantras is the belief that you should never ever overpay. He says that the worst thing in the world is to overpay for a property, because if you spend millions of dollars on acquiring it and you overpay, it's very difficult to exit that at the back end. He says that you always want to make sure that there's some upside on the deal, whether it's on the rent side or the sell side. He goes, if you don't plan that out ahead of time, the deal almost always fails. Ben believes that the most important thing is your credit score. He says a good credit score is what allows you to get great interest rates. It allows you to get the respect of the bank that works with you, and it allows you to do things that a lot of other people who self-finance or don't have good credit simply can't do. He says you can go out and buy an FHA loan now with 3% down. So what that means is if you buy a house, a $200,000 house, and you put 3% down, that's $6,000 that gets you into that property, which is, these are near historic lows as far as interest rates go. He says if you have bad credit, you can get on the phone with your creditors and you can negotiate a resolution. He goes, you don't have to rely on credit repair agencies. You can call and start negotiations and begin the repair process. He says most creditors are willing to work on medical bills, school loans, and stuff like that, so it's really important to put that effort in. Ben believes that where at the top of a real estate bubble now, and that when it pops, there's going to be a correction that could bring prices down anywhere from 20 to 25%. He says that deals are all about timing and terms. If you come in at the right price and with the right terms, some persuasive negotiation, you can make a deal work. So we've been analyzing Ben's success, and we think we know what his secret is. With Ben, it's all about cost containment and cost mitigation. No matter what he buys, he always negotiates. When he walks into a furniture store, he negotiates aggressively for a table. When he talks to the owner of an apartment complex that Ben wants to buy, they'll negotiate for days. And it's all about negotiating aggressively at the front end of a deal. So if you want to succeed like Ben, achieve even a fraction of his success, we believe that success of his is predicated upon his obsessive need to negotiate aggressively on every dime of every deal. We see this time and time again, and it almost always works out to his benefit. At the low end, he uses charm. At the high end, he negotiates with with a certain amount of chutzpah and a certain amount of persuasiveness that a lot of people just aren't willing to demonstrate. So good luck, and we'll see you soon.